Welcome. Today's International Women's Day, and we're so honored you've joined us for this virtual conversation. I'm Josh Hutchinson, co-founder of End Witch Hunt's nonprofit.
Hello, I'm Sarah Jack. I'm also a co-founder and the executive director of End Witch Hunts. Today's theme is Give to Gain, Justice for Women Accused of Witchcraft in Africa. And we are so grateful to be hosting this space that is for speaking truth, advocacy, and change.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Bingham, co-founder of End Witch Hunts. And the three of us, Josh, Sarah, and myself, share something deeply personal that draws us to this work. We are all descended from people accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch hunt of 1692.
For us, this isn't just history, it's also family. And it's that personal connection that led us to start our organization focused on addressing how women and vulnerable men and children around the world suffer today. Witchcraft accusations still occur around the world. A little about End Witch Hunts. We're a US-based nonprofit dedicated to educating the public about both historical and contemporary witchcraft persecution. We raise awareness about harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks through public awareness campaigns, community memorials, and podcast conversations with advocates, academics, and leaders worldwide.
Our vision is a world without witch hunts where victims and their families do receive justice, are acknowledged, and are supported by their communities.
In 2021, the UN Human Rights Council adopted Historic Resolution 47/8 on the elimination of harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks. The first resolution of its kind calling for a holistic approach to addressing these violations across the globe.
This year's International Women's Day theme, Give to Gain, takes on profound meaning when applied to the crisis of witchcraft persecution. Dr. Leo Igwe, one of today's panelists, has written powerfully on this. He wrote, "Witchcraft accusations have a female face. Women are disproportionately targeted, and the persistence of this persecution reflects a global failure to give time, resources, and protection to those most at risk."
He wrote about some recent cases. We're just going to mention them here, but we're going to hear from him today about these survivors and those who were attacked. The cases arriving in recent weeks make this urgency painfully concrete. In Imo State, Nigeria, a 49-year-old woman named Obajiri Oti was accused of practicing traditional religion, beaten by vigilantes and police, and banished by her family and arrested twice. She is currently ill in prison, waiting for a response from court. Her son has been detained and extorted. Her daughter was assaulted and fled, and she remains in hiding.
In Cross River State, an 86-year-old woman named Aret Inyang was repeatedly threatened with murder by her nephew over witchcraft accusations. After advocates secured his arrest and an undertaking to stop, he was released, and then she disappeared. She has not been seen since late October. Advocates suspect that she has been murdered, and police have yet to intervene.
And in Lagos, a young woman named Adajat Pereira was allegedly killed in a ritual murder by her former partner. Her mother has paid police and petitioned for action. Advocates have visited the station in person. Still, no meaningful investigation has followed yet.
These cases represent thousands across Africa. They are, as Dr. Igwe writes, doubly victimized, targeted by accusers, and then abandoned by the very institutions meant to protect them. He says that is the crisis we are here to address today, and that is why giving matters.
We are honored to have with us today a remarkable group of advocates, legal experts, academics, and human rights leaders who are working for real and lasting change for women accused of witchcraft across Africa.
Please welcome Dr. Leo Igwe, a board member of the Humanist Association of Nigeria and of Humanist International. He holds a master's in philosophy and a doctoral degree in religious studies from the University of Bayreuth in Germany, where he wrote his thesis on witchcraft accusations in northern Ghana. He directs both the Advocacy for Alleged Witches and the Critical Thinking Social Empowerment Foundation.
We also welcome Chief Magistrate Sophia Musa Saluhu, a Chief Magistrate from Northeast Nigeria, Bauchi State, and Vice Chairman of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, Bauchi Branch. With a mandate to protect vulnerable women and children, she works directly to address witchcraft allegations through legal advocacy.
And please welcome Dr. Barrister Dize Ogbize Godi Heri, a barrister and doctor from Bayelsa State, South Nigeria. She is with the Dize Ogbize Foundation and the Association of Women Against Gender-Based Violence, working to protect women and girls from gender-based violence, including witchcraft accusations.
And please welcome Hawa Mundi, a broadcast journalist with Radio Nigeria, a social media influencer, and a member of Advocacy for Alleged Witches. She uses the power of media and public voice to amplify the stories of those accused of witchcraft across Nigeria.
I'm also going to welcome my Nuna Mohammed, representing the Niger State branch of Advocacy for Alleged Witches, and serves as an information officer at the university in Minna.
And now here's Dr. Leo Igwe.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, End Witch Hunts organizers and supporters for making this event possible. Happy International Women's Day to everyone. Yes, my name is Leo Igwe from the Advocacy for Alleged Witches. AFAO is a humanist initiative to end witch hunts in Africa. It started in 2020. We started in 2020, even though the campaign against witch hunts, had been going on before then, with a decade of activism. And our goal is to make witch hunt history by 2030. So we're just halfway, but it's like we are even starting. So the challenge is huge, as we're gonna see. So the main objective is to provide, to supply those missing links in the theorization and conceptualization of witchcraft in Africa, and in the activism and combat against witch hunts in the region. So we are looking at the problem at two different levels, at the level of explanation, theorization, and at the level of activism. And now, for us at AFAO, these missing links, and they are legal, they are human rights, they are educational, they are humanitarian, they are political, they are economic, they are social, they are largely responsible for the persistence of witch hunts. Not because witch hunting is a part of the African culture, because what we often read about is that, yeah, it's part of African culture. It's not because witchcraft accusation serves any useful purpose or is of domestic value or a stabilizing mechanism, as Western anthropologists and their African acolytes would make us understand. So what we are trying to do is to supply those missing links in the understanding of witch hunts and in the fight against witch hunts. Now, how are we doing this? And I want to tell you that the topic of this year's International Women's Day has actually made it clear. The problem is going on because we have refused to give. Yes, we have refused to give as Nigerians, as Africans, and as the world. And that is why we have not gained that kind of progress. We have not made the progress we should make. And now I'm going to use the cases we have already highlighted here to let us understand, how our inability to give, or even if we are giving, we are not giving enough, that has made it possible for this witch hunting to continue. Now, let's take the case of Obiageli Oti. Now, this woman is a traditional and indigenous religious worshiper. Now, on Friday, just Friday, she was charged in a magistrate court and remanded. Those behind her predicament are the family members who are conniving with the police to put her in jail. And what was the crime? That she brought what they call traditional deities, because here in Nigeria, and I think in many parts of Africa, traditional deities are often demonized by the Christian believers because they regard them as fetish and evil and a form of witchcraft. So another case we have is that of, it has been mentioned here, Arit Inyang. I met Arit Inyang some years ago, and she was among the people we've been supporting in her region. And she told us about how she was constantly being accused, because if you're an elderly woman, you are living alone, especially in rural areas, you are likely going to be, you are vulnerable and likely going to be accused. So she was accused severally. We tried to support her by, of course, trying to invite her over, provide her with some of her necessary needs, and then send a message to accusers, to let them know that what they were doing actually is a guy called Anthony, just to let him know that what he was doing was criminal. So, but we thought that by bringing the police and getting him to sign an undertaking would actually make him to refrain and stop accusing the woman. But he came back, and shortly after that, the woman disappeared. And we have not seen her up to today. And this happened till the end of October. And we have sent a petition to the police. But here, if you send a petition to the police, it's not enough. Now, we have this third case of Adijat Pereira. Yeah, she was murdered last year. This February, that was a year since she was killed, allegedly killed by the boyfriend. And we call it ritual killing because they went into they broke into the house, saw the corpse, and blood drained into some calabash and a little bit of some items on the floor. We are trying to persuade the police to do what they're supposed to do. Shortly before we started this session, I spoke with the PPRO, that's Police Public Relations Officer of Nasarawa State. Is in the, let's call it, in Nigeria, we can call that the middle belt, that's close to Abuja. Because there was this elderly woman, she was accused of witchcraft, and the children, actually 2 of them, were threatening to kill her. So the police arrested them. In fact, it was Howard that brought it to my attention. So I contacted the PPRO, and the PPRO told me that they've arrested 2 of the children, and they found them with a gun and took the gun, and the woman is in protective custody. So what we want to do is that we have to reach out to the woman to understand how we can help her, because sometimes when they say in protective custody, they put a person in jail where they put criminals and people are awaiting trial. So because sometimes they don't have really a facility for people like this. So we want to understand, what does protective custody now mean? And from there, we try to explore, either with a supportive member of the family or someone who can help us at least make sure that the woman is not doubly victimized. So yes, it is important. The International Women's Day, the theme for this year, is reminding Africans, is reminding Nigerians that they are not giving. And that is why we are not gaining the mileage we need to end witch hunts. And that's why it has been seen as if witch hunting is part of African culture. It's not part of our culture. Our culture is not to be killing our mothers and killing our children as a result of some suspicion of witchcraft. No, it's because of we have refused to give. And I think that it is a reminder for Africans to give their time, give their energy, give their expertise, and also give their any kind of skill they have. Put that at the disposal of these women, so that this witch hunting will come to an end.
And now, Dr. Barrister Dise Obise Gotti Harry.
My name is Dr. Barrister Dise Obise Gotti Harry. Just like I've been introduced, I'm the National President, Association of Women Against Gender-Based Violence. Also, the founder of the Dise Obise Foundation. The foundation has been in existence since 2017. while the Association of Women Against Gender-Based Violence came up in 2024. For us in the foundation, we stand for justice, security, and development for the vulnerable persons in our society. We're taking conscious effort now, joining the work of Mr. Leo to see that in the Niger Delta region in Nigeria, if we reduce it to its various minimum. So I'm a human rights activist, so whoever discriminates upon an individual is looking for my trouble and I want it out. We had one very disturbing case, and Dr. Leo, thank you so much. You were on this matter, and I believe we'll reawaken the matter, we'll revive the matter. This is a case of about 4 children whose father beat them up mercilessly. In fact, it's supposed to be a case of attempted murder, because if you see the pictures, I think Dr. Leo has those pictures. I have them, we can share them with you later on. This father, a police officer, used machete, used all the weapons he could use. That a prophet told him that his children were witches. Now, the other one is the one that the man took sniper after killing all his children. He gave them a poisonous substance. He killed his children that the prophet said they were witches. And then he killed the children, killed himself, killed his entire family. Those are the cases that happened in Bayelsa State. We must give back to society with the knowledge that we have, our legal knowledge, the experiences we've had.
Speaking now is Hawa Mundi.
To say as my mentor, Dr. Igwe, and the barrister has said, because they are the ones on the field. We try to do advocacy using the media, social media, and traditional media. I've had Dr. Leo a couple of times on my program on the Network Service of Radio Nigeria. It's a network program, so it's listened to in all 36 states of the Federation and beyond. What we try to do is, I always say we shouldn't wait till there are attacks, till there are accusations before we talk about it, because the problem is not in the accusations, the problem is in the belief system, the belief that there is something called witchcraft, right? So the accusations are the accusations and the harmful practices are deeply rooted in the superstitious beliefs and sometimes religious beliefs. As a matter of fact, both major religions practiced in Nigeria are major contributors in this problem, because when you tell people, okay, there is no such thing as witchcraft, because we're trying to disabuse their minds from believing it, not even the practices, believing it in the first place. They tell you they can't subscribe to that school of thought because their religions teach them that this thing exists. So if God has told me to be wary of these people, who are you to tell me they do not exist? So that is where the fundamental problem is, in the belief that there is actually something like witchcraft. And that is why what Dr. Leo does with his critical thinking project is very important, because we need to change the mindset of people. We need to challenge this beliefs. We need to question this superstitions, so that they can know that these practices are not just harmful, but they are baseless.
Now here is Chief Magistrate Safia Musa Salihu.
At the grassroots level, we realize that a lot of the people, the women and the people are being attacked, do not really know how to, protect go about seeking for redress when their rights have been infringed upon. So we try to take it from the grassroots level. FIDA came up with something. We call it paralegal training. So far, we have trained 12 paralegals from 4 local governments. Now, these paralegals, we taught them a little bit about law, so that when such things occur, when someone is unjustly accused of being either a witch or is being targeted, for any offense unjustly, at least there's somebody close to her at that level, somebody she can reach out to. Because mostly, like I said, the victims are women, aged women, and poor women.
And now we'll hear from Maimunat Mohammed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neymanat. I'm from Niger State. I am going to be coming from the point of a victim. I grew up being called a witch myself, my mom, and my stepmother because our father died earlier. So I lost him at 10, and the entire community, we were treated with we were treated bad, right? People don't want to interact with us. I remember one time I was 10 and someone carried cutlass to harm my mother because according to them, she killed her husband. In my community, Nupe community, oftentimes when a man dies, they accuse the wife. So in this case, not just my mother was accused, but also her children that were responsible for his death. And a lot of dehumanizing things happened at the time, and nobody in the community said anything. Nobody stood for us. We were treated like we were not a member of that community. We were not part of the community. And it stayed for more than 20 years. I didn't know there was any, I didn't know of any organization, anybody, anything, anyone at all that you could speak to about the behaviors, or do I say the accusations and the actions that come from people of the community. And we had to endure all of this until I met Mr. Leo. And I come to realize that actually there is a law that says that you can't accuse people wrongly. But could it be that people are not informed about these laws? People do not know their rights? Or is it that we do not have access to people who would help us when we are in situations like this? Because I tell you, it's not easy. It was not an easy experience for any of us. Imagine growing up in a community where nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to interact with you. When you come, they chase you away like you are a plague. And it's not just 1 year, for over 20 years. If I want to get married now, if it's in my community, they will tell you that girl that she and her mother are witches. I don't know if you understand. It affected us for a long time. Even though I am educated, my mom also has some level of education, but the rural community, they don't care. There's no leader. And just like someone said, one of the speakers said earlier, that the religion, I don't know if it's the interpretation or the part that we choose to believe, or we choose to interpret. They will tell you that when you tell people that you don't believe in the existence of witchcraft, they will tell you that, oh, God said that you should seek protection from evil eye. That means there's witchcraft. If God is saying there's witchcraft, who are you to tell them there's no witchcraft? And when you are a big example of the witchcraft in your community, at a point you begin to assume, or you begin to question yourself, are you sure I'm not a witch? Okay, and how do I even know if I am not a witch? So I am so happy that there's a campaign, right? People are beginning to talk about these accusations. Sometimes people get killed. Yes, people get displaced, people get harmed. And like I said, my mother was almost killed because they assumed she killed her husband. But when we now talk about it every now and then, people get to know that, see, you need to visit the hospital. One of my cousin at the time, she's a sickle cell patient. Yeah. Anytime she's having a crisis, she would say that is one of the witches that is dealing with her. She knows that she was born with this. She has been dealing with this for ages. She knows, but then she still says that, oh, it's one particular person that is making her sick. And the entire community believe that, yes, this is the person making her sick. And you know that this lady has problem. I don't know if it's just, we just choose to believe it. I don't know, because they know that she's sick. So I think when we have platforms like this, when we have people talking about it, when we have actions being taken, not just when we talk about it, when someone is accused, let there be actions, let it be clear, let everyone see it, let there be consequences. That is the only time we can stop it. Other than that, it is becoming a normal thing. I can talk about my own community. It's becoming a normal thing. A woman lost her husband, she killed him. A man lost his wife, or a woman does not have a child, she's a...
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We're going to have some more conversation now.
Yeah, our first question, it's for everybody. How does witchcraft persecution specifically affect women in Nigeria or in your region?
Overall, in Nigeria, I think women are not as empowered as the men. Most of these women who are accused are less privileged. You never see an educated woman, an empowered woman, or a woman who is financially stable and independent being accused of witchcraft. So it affects them more because they are vulnerable financially, emotionally, and it affects them more because the more, just like Safia is saying, the more, is it Safia Mimuna? The more disadvantaged you are in the society, for someone who has been accused of witchcraft, she's less likely going to find, even if she has a business to do, the community is likely not going to patronize her business because nobody wants to buy anything from a witch, you know? If she's a nurse, even in the hospital, she could face, even if it is a woman who has been to school and is empowered to an extent, she could face systematic persecution. Because if she has a patient in the hospital, everyone will say, look, don't let her inject you, or don't let her treat you, because you're likely not going to survive, you know? So it just it's a vicious circle that needs to be broken. Women need to be empowered so they can be less vulnerable, basically.
Thank you so much.
Would any of the other speakers like to pull a thread on the woman's experience before we move on to a different question?
I want to speak. Okay, I think I also want to come in here. I also wanted to make reference to what Maimuna said. It also ends up affecting the victims psychologically. You heard her say, sometimes she even questions her own sanity. Am I actually a witch? Once you get to that level, you could also potentially face mental health issues that would make them convinced further that there's actually something wrong with you. So that's another issue too.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out to us. And I'm not going to say much, but I just, those of us who look at the historical witch trial victims of witch hunts, that is also an aspect of that. They believe that there are witches and they're being called one, so then maybe they are one. That is a very sad part of that experience that we have read about in history, and of course that is following through in our experiences in the world today. Would anybody else like to speak to this?
I was once a state council. There's a Department of Citizens' Rights where you can go and tell them that I have a problem. This is what I'm facing. Please, I need to be heard.
Yeah, I would like to chime in a bit. And of course, I thank the previous speakers for their contribution. I think I'm looking at it from two angles. First of all, patriarchy. Yeah, in a male-dominated society, the woman is meant to, is treated as a subordinate. So if you want to challenge the norm, somebody has talked about, oh, it's becoming a norm. Yes. those things are fluid. They are patriarchal norms. They're not the norm. They are patriarchal norms. So if you want to challenge it, you also have to ask yourself, what's the consequences of challenging it? So a lot of people are afraid of going to the police because they're worried about the consequences. Okay, because in many places, if you call police for somebody, in fact, you're even ostracized. You even get punished for doing so. So that is, and that is the reason. That is why, you know, I'm talking so much about the idea of giving. Yes, we have to begin to look at, you know, giving in terms of letting people who suffer accusation, women who suffer accusation, providing them what they lack. And that's exactly what we are doing at the Advocacy for Alleged Witches. Do they like support to go to the police? Provide them with that support. Help them write a petition. Okay? Or help them, get them a legal representative. Because from our experiences, as soon as the other side, the accusers, get to understand that these people have a lawyer and they might take them to jail, they start dialogue, they start negotiating. Just like now, the woman in prison now, we want to make sure we are launching the fundamental right action next week. We are putting a lawyer and all that. So I'm sure they didn't expect the intervention of a foul at all. They didn't see it coming. So as soon as we do that now, you know, they begin to negotiate. So I think that we have to find out what are those things missing and try to provide the women, whether it's political, economic, financial, legal. We have to identify them and give it. That's what they are telling us this year. We need to give them those things so that we can gain. Yes, we are not gaining because we are not giving. Yes, we have lawyers, but those lawyers are not giving. We have courts, those courts are not giving. Police officers, they are not giving. In fact, they are taking from them. They're extorting money from them. They want them to pay for files. They want them to pay for the pen they used to write. They want to pay for food, the fuel, the car. So instead of giving to these people who are victims, we are taking from them. So, and that is why the topic of this year's International Women's Day is very important. Nigerians begin to give. Yes, begin to give these people. Stop exploiting them. Stop taking from people you're supposed to give to. So if you ask me, that is exactly what we need when it comes to the situation of women and how we can change it for better.
Yes, I was going to point out that when this advocacy is, when we are coming up with these campaigns, it's important that we use local dialects. We use the dialects because majority of these accused are from the rural community, people who settle in the rural communities. So if you're doing a campaign and it's urban centered, you see that at the end of the day, what you may not achieve what you intend to, because people who really need this message do not get to, they don't get it. So when you are taking this goodwill, it should go to the communities, the villages. Those are the places that majority of the women suffer accusation.
These issues are deeply rooted and they go beyond the surface. If you are assertive and you have financial independence, then you're basically safe, because no one would accuse anyone they know they can benefit from. Most of the people who do the accusations are poor people. So they only accuse people who don't have anything to offer. Right?
Exactly.
Well, if you are financially stable, even if the accusations remain, there will never be any harmful practice against you. There will never be physical abuse. There will never be even verbal abuse, because they know you have the power to probably get the police involved, get them arrested or something. So, because I have been accused of being a witch, but not in that sense. What I did was, I did a video. I openly challenged witches. I said they should show any witch in this video, but I am challenging them to afflict me with an ailment, just in my advocacy bid to show people that this thing does not exist. I made that video probably about 5 years ago, challenging witches that, okay, I'm giving you 1 week to afflict me with an ailment,
that modern science, modern medicine cannot diagnose. And people came beneath that post to say the reason you are making this accusation is because you are a witch yourself, and you know they are your fellow comrades and they cannot harm you. But I mean, it stops there. Nobody can come to me and say, I'm going to kill you for stopping my progress, or I'm going to kill you for making my child sick. So empowerment, I don't just have my voice, I have my financial strength, and they know what that can do for me. So that's important. The moment we deal with poverty and give women empowerment, it will reduce harmful practices against women drastically.
I was reading Memuna's contribution about the fact that it was her assertiveness as a child that, was used against her. That how can a small girl of a 10-year-old girl challenge elders or question the room? So it was her assertiveness at that age. At that age, it was not your assertiveness. I know how it is with our community leaders. When elders talk, you don't talk back. So they were looking at it from another angle, that you are being disrespectful, not that from that angle of being a witch. To them, you were being disrespectful. When elders talk, the young ones listen. So you were talking back. You were not. You were.
Can I explain? Can I say something? So
Okay.
my uncles would come. Some of them will come to my mother's room, the ones that will rain insults, the ones that will want to hit her. Some of them even did hit her. And as a child, I'm like, why are you beating my mother? Why are you beating my mother? You can't keep beating my mother. My father is dead. At least we are mourning. She has lost her husband. And when it continued, at a point, I told them that nobody is going to enter my mother's room. Anything you want to do, you have to do it outside. And I was very tiny. This girl must be a witch. Her mother has given her that witchcraft. That's why every now and then, when we're coming here, she will talk. My mother is not going anywhere. You can't keep humiliating her every night. Sometimes I'll be crying when I'm doing that. And then at a point, they're just like, I continued, even though they kept tagging me as witch. I will tell you that I endured it for years, but I was the same person who stopped that thing, that accusation of my mom. The last time I said to them, I said, any day, even if it's conversation, I don't care whether it's a joke, anybody who refers to my mother as a witch, I'm going to take it up, because I am no longer that child again, and we've endured it enough. So it was not that when they were talking, it was they were inflicting pain on my mother, and I am there with her. It's not once, it's not twice, severally. At the time, they asked her to leave the house. She's no longer needed in this house. She should leave the house. She killed their brother. You can't keep watching, no matter how young a child is. They know when they are inflicting pain on their loved ones, their parents. And most of them, they react. Even kids that are 2-3 years, when they see someone hitting their parents, they cry.
Yes. So what's in it?
Yeah, just want to add add something. Again, you see, there is this lack of empathy. Yes, I think that the stories we're hearing here are stories that take place in a society that is lacking in empathy. We can't leave people who are accused to their faith or to what they can do for themselves. Because actually, if we leave it that way, then why are we a society? And that's exactly what the point of we're making today. We are not giving. Yes, we lack empathy. We are not putting ourselves in the shoes of these people. We are not trying to imagine a world where they are also treated equal. Okay, for some reasons, they were not educated. And so, for some reasons, they are poor. And so, for some reasons, they are disabled. And so, we have to give. And that is it. So, I think that we have to, take responsibility. I understand that, yeah, these people also have to, in quote, they need to be more assertive. Okay, if I'm not assertive, then, yeah, we must not all be assertive or in particular ways. So if, for instance, one doesn't have the ability to be assertive, then what happens? So I think that it still boils down to us. We lack in empathy. And this year's International Women's Day, they are telling us, yes, we need to give empathy. Yes, so that we can address this and not leave these people to their faith, whether they're assertive or not assertive, whether they're educated, not educated, whether they are poor or rich. Thank you.
So I have a question for any of you that would like to answer. I'm wondering if they can go straight to the courts and make a complaint and hope that they find somebody that is compassionate enough to take their cause. Thank you.
When you come to court, in fact, times without number, I have challenged lawyers. I will say, okay, counsels, this is a good case for you. Please volunteer. They call it pro bono. So they do offer pro bono cases. When you're lucky, and there are lawyers in courts, of course, yes. And if not, sometimes I kind of channel it to FIDA. Since all of us are a group of women, female lawyers that are there to offer pro bono services. Like I am the vice chairperson and litigation is my constituency, even though I cannot come out and, being an arbitrator as a magistrate, I cannot come out and, go to court on your behalf. But there are lawyers there that assist us, not only the female lawyers, but we have lawyers in town that offer pro bono cases. And these things are made kind of not mandatory, but it kind of boosts your CV when you have done pro bono cases. It shows that you have that empathy that Mr. Lee was talking about. So sometimes they do it even for their selfish reasons. Maybe you want to aim for an office in future. And when you are asked what you have done for your community, you can say that I have done pro bono cases, for such and such. And so you can, sometimes they don't do it out of goodwill, but they do accept pro bono cases. And it's an addition, a plus, on their CV, like I said. So we need to create awareness. We need to educate the masses. We are trying, but it's like, it's not enough. A lot of people do not really know.
Yeah, I want to quickly add. Thank you, Sophia, for what you're doing, and exactly that's why you are here. You are a partner. But I want to say that what Sophia has said from our experience is more of exception than the rule. Okay, from our experience, But I acknowledge what she's doing, and I know she's resourceful, she's supportive when it comes to, and I always wish we'll have many more like her. That's the problem. We don't have that. Now, let me give you a quick example. The woman remanded in prison now, we're trying to get the court proceedings so that we can use that to prepare the fundamental right action and all that. Now, they have compiled it. Now, they said that the registrar has not signed. Why is the registrar has not signed? The registrar will need to be paid money before the registrar signs. Now, they will not tell you. But you need to go there and look into their eyes and from their body movement for you to know very well that they have not signed because they need money.
As you are saying that I'm the exception, do you know that even among my colleagues, like you said, the exception, there was this time that I sent a lawyer to prison. He was there for 3 days. And that lawyer, I didn't do it for fun. And I needed to teach him a lesson because he was there and he was disrespectful to the court. So I cited him for contempt, but I can be bold and I don't mind. I can be fearless. Not that I'm doing it to impress anybody, but when it comes to targeting women, I can be passionate and I can go to any length to ensure that justice is done. So I believe you, those registrars, and I have sent like 4 or 5 registrars back to the High Court. You will not undermine me. I'm trying to do the right thing.
We also need that financial strength in as much as financial support, in as much as we are providing free legal services. Like for us in Do Foundation and Association, we have our team of lawyers that are on ground to handle these cases. We provide legal services, but there's a limit to which and to what we can do. So this issue of money, I don't think it can ever stop. Somebody is being beaten because she's called a witch. Please, let's go quickly and see the action is happening right now. And I'm not standing in for the police, but most times I've also realized that their offices are not being funded. If you like, go and report to the Commissioner of Police. They know the system already. Their offices are not being funded. It's just that sometimes the police people are also very greedy. They want to take beyond what they should take. So it's just a challenge that is just going round and round. The point is we need to have money to be able to help these survivors that have been accused of witchcraft and all of that. Thank you.
What do you need from governments and from international organizations, from the public to create real change for these women?
Yeah, like I said, we're doing it now to create more awareness, to talk, come out and talk and talk and talk until they listen to us. Yes, we don't just do it here and leave it here. We continue, we take it from there. If it means going out with placards so that we can be listened, let's do it. Let's continue from here. Let's not just stop after this. Let's continue to create awareness. Let's reach them at the grassroots level. Explain to them that this is how you can go about to seek for redress. Don't take it. There are people that are there out there for you that can assist you. And then tell them about the provision of the Constitution, which prohibits torture and degrading treatment, that no one should be subjected to torture or inhuman treatment. So let's create this awareness. Let's tell them about the laws that are there to protect them.
If we don't have the buy-in of our leaders, it might not yield the kind of results that we want to achieve or want to get. So I would suggest that moving forward, we need to get the buy-in of key stakeholders in governments, various organizations, human rights organizations. We need to have those key stakeholders join us in the campaign against witchcraft accusation. Like if we have the buy-in of the first ladies, it will also help to carry this campaign far. So we need to get the buy-in of key stakeholders like the Speaker of the House of Assembly. We need to get them to be involved. If we can even get the governors involved, when the governor stands up to speak, everybody listens. If we do that, it will also help. Then for the various states in Nigeria, let's see if we can get ambassadors, campaign ambassadors. And then we put in funds and then we go around and then we talk about it, keep talking about it on all our social media platforms. And then in the various languages in Nigeria, we can target some states. If we do that, I'm sure it will create that awareness and enlightenment that what some persons have been doing is actually wrong. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
I would just want to add that in the light of this year's theme, the theme for the International Women's Day, I would say let's give as individuals, as organization, as association, let's give. I think that is important that our institution, they should start working. Yes, the UN has a resolution. Beyond that resolution, what are UN agencies doing? UN, they have offices in countries across Africa and across the world. So it is important that they mainstream these cases. Yes. And again, the media, we also have to reach out to the media. Now, let me tell you the challenge we have. When there are cases of accusation, like we saw in Rivers State, it's all over the media. A brother murdered his brother for witchcraft. All the mainstream media, they will carry the story. Now, when you go to the media to say, we want to educate the people, they said, you have to bring money. We have to pay. So you don't pay to spread the sensational news of, an elderly woman abandoned for witchcraft. An elderly woman, sometimes they say that a witch has crash landed somewhere or a witch has confessed.
Funding is important as far as international organizations are concerned, especially talking about such issues. For us, I work for the government, so we don't need to pay. But there are not many journalists like me who are willing to talk about this topic. That is why the platform is not being utilized. And there's just so much I can do, so little I can do. If not, we have the platform, we have the coverage. Radio Nigeria has a listenership of over 40 million people, and we are the largest radio network in Africa. So we have the platform, but the journalists don't have the passion. This is not a topic they even want to talk about because of the stigma and what have you. And then as individuals, what we can do is start small. So it's a difficult conversation to have, but it is a compulsory conversation to have. We must keep talking about it. We shouldn't wait until someone has been harmed before we talk about it. That is just the way to go about it. If we keep waiting for an accusation to happen, then we are not dealing with it the right way. We should keep talking in small circles and never underestimate the power of social media. Wake up one morning and just post and say, look, there is no such thing like witchcraft. They will come for you on that post, but you have no idea how much that little post must have done, because there's probably someone who has been thinking about it, who has doubts, but does not want to speak out. And they are just waiting to see someone else who says something similar. And they'll say, oh, so it's not only me thinking about it. You need to come out of the shadows. We need to come out of the shadows. We need to take advantage of our little circles, our social media handles, our offices, any opportunity you have. Talk about the non-existence of witchcraft before talking about harmful practices against women who have been accused of witchcraft.
Howard has also made it an important point that all of us, from wherever we are, we can do something. Yes, because that's exactly, one of the things that motivated me, to do what I'm doing now in terms of the advocacy work. Because when we feel helpless, you felt helpless as a child, as a student. You're not an adult. You're getting old. You're still feeling helpless. You know that something has to be done. We cannot wait till we have all the resources. So let us begin to do something. When sometimes you can share the news. Like now, some people tag me, they send me that's what you could do. Or you can help, call somebody, inform somebody, educate somebody, ask somebody a question. How do you know? Do you have the evidence? Or sometimes you're on a WhatsApp group, they will tell you a witch has crash landed. You ask the person, what do you mean? Can a spirit crash land or something spiritually? So do something in line with educating and reorienting the people's mind. I think it's going to go a long way in maybe triggering a conversation, a process, and a paradigm shift. So in terms of also action, also do something when you see people maybe either beating up someone or something like that, try and take action, ring up somebody, call the police and all that. Because sometimes, witchcraft accusation is a matter of life and death. So, if you're able to take action, that little action could save somebody's life. So, what is it? Just do something. You always have the capacity to do something. And let me also go back to the theme for this year. You have the capacity to give something.
Thank you so much, Leo. Speakers, do you have any closing words that you would like to share?
Just that, like he says, we need to give, we need to stand for the vulnerable in the society. I want to suggest that when someone is attacked by people around them, we ensure that we're there to stop the attack. We don't allow it to escalate. And we're trying what we can in FIDA. About the paralegals that I earlier on talked to you about, they are there to stop such escalation. That is why we train them, so that they can nip it in the bud before it escalates. We are really trying in my organization. We are trying, we want to take it further, just that we're short of funds presently, but we are going to take it further. We want to continue, training other communities, and we want to do it nationwide.
Yeah, I just want to make one more point in conclusion. Now, we have a case in Imo State right now in southern Nigeria. Two of the accusers are living in the United States. They are Nigerians, but they live in the US. And they are funding the accusation. They are the one funding, the bribing, sending money to Nigeria. They're using to bribe the police. They're using to bribe the courts. They're using to bribe the vigilante, the traditional and community leaders. So we are not just facing a Nigerian case or a local case. It is international. And it is important we get this news out and let the world understand that, accusers, many of the accusers or those who fund accusation, they don't live in Nigeria. They live in Europe. They live in the United States. Some of them, if they have challenges and issues there, they'll be blaming some women or some family members back home in Nigeria. So what I'm also trying to, the point I would like us to get take away is that we also need maybe some of these countries, their embassies, their agencies to understand that they can also give us, in terms of their resources, in making sure that there are international consequences for funding or fueling witch hunting and witchcraft accusation, whether it is in Nigeria or in other African countries.
Okay, just to add to what you said, we must always have evidence when we raise issues like that. If they are truly funding, I just want to say that you should, whatever you're saying, should be backed up with evidence so that you can really take it up from. Well, for us in Ju Foundation and the Association of Women Against Gender-Based Violence, I just want to say that we're also committing to doing that bit. We want to give back by ensuring that all our social media platforms, we're always on, especially on radio. We're on radio, and then we have our social media spaces to condemn it. We'll keep talking about it until somebody gets to know about it. But in terms of going to the communities, it's going to be a difficult one for us because that has to do with robust planning and funding. But we'll try our best always to use our platforms, the ones that we've already paid for, like on radio, to talk about it as much as we can.
Thank you so much for your expertise and insights and your sacrifices and your work, everyone here who is on the ground in your community, advocating and protecting. Listeners, you're hearing to give. You have a way to give. It's your voice, it's your wealth, it's your ideas, it's your protection. You need to give. And all of us giving together is what is going to make that shift.
Please visit endwitchhunts.org to find out more about witch hunts worldwide and to locate podcast links. If you have any further questions, please contact us and we will work to get the information that you need. And thank you for sharing the International Women's Day 2026 with us.